One issue which Cathy picked up in her term as member for Indi, which was picked up by the Greens before this, was around integrity. So the Greens were the first to bring forward a piece of legislation about an integrity commission, which got nowhere. Cathy then picked that up again, took that further, didn't get to present the bill to the floor. Helen picked it up and worked that very hard for her first term. And she used to talk to the Prime Minister about various things, and she used to talk about integrity, and he comment to her was, nobody ever talks to me about integrity as an issue. And Helen said, well, Prime Minister, you're wrong, because I get all the time when I'm in the street meeting people, they might not use the word integrity, but they talk about, we're getting ripped off, because money goes to the wrong things for purely political reasons. Money should go to where the need is greatest, which could be in our electorate, but might be elsewhere. And it's up to parliamentarians to develop the policies to spend the money which has the biggest impact and benefit to community. So Helen pushed very hard, and in the end, you might recall towards the end of the last parliament, she brought forward her bill, tried to suspend standing orders, and that usually gets knocked out by the government. And Bridget Archer, the Liberal member for Bass and Tasmania, seconded Helen's bill to the shock of her colleagues and brought forward a vote. And the vote, Helen won the vote, but because of COVID, they had to get an absolute majority, not just a majority on the floor of the day, so they couldn't actually debate it. But that said, to both major parties, integrity is a major issue. We want a national anti-corruption authority, and Labor at the election committed to bring one forward, which they did last year. So we now have a National Anti-Corruption Commission. Through the work of independents, neither major party was keen to touch it because they have skeletons in their cupboards. It was up to the independents and the crossbench to argue the case for that and bring it forward. So there's a national issue which has lots of resonance at a very local level. So that's picking up the first bit, and sorry, the rest of your question I need to
Two things are regional benefit overall and the change in the tone. I want to pick up on Holly's point about the tone of Parliament and the benefit of having lots of independents.
Can I just quickly answer, and maybe you have to go too, Holly, but one of the changes in the Parliament, so if you ever look at question time, which is what, if people watch Parliament, they tend to see question time, and most people are horrified by the behaviour. They see both major parties trying to score points from each other. The government says, they ask questions about how good they are, so they can say what a great job we're doing. The opposition tries to catch them out, bring them down. The crossbench, and when those questions are being asked and answered, it's rowdy, people throwing insults at each other, they get chucked out by the speaker. When the crossbench gets to ask their question, and the independents get to ask their questions, there is silence in the Parliament. And why is that? Because both sides of politics are listening to what the independents are asking. So they're not asking questions to try and trick the ministers, they're asking questions about policy, serious policy questions. That's one example that the independents and the growing crossbench is helping to moderate, and I think change to some extent. It needs to go a bit further. It's changing how how Parliament runs and the behaviour. And I think, as Holly said before, some of the issues around women in particular have got a fair way to go. But I think there's been some change in the last couple of years, so that's encouraging. And I would say, I'd put that down to the crossbench and the independents. There's now 18 on the crossbench, the biggest in Australia's history.